This evening's program is presented by Kate Beckman. She is familiar to audiences as an actor, director, cabaret performer, and as Nan Edwards in the musical Fair Liberty's Call by Port Washington resident Pam Meadows. This evening's performance kicks off the 2021 online season for Play Troupe as we continue to collaborate with the Port Washington Public Library to bring theater to the community during the pandemic. And now, in celebration of love.
Loving you is not a choice, it's who I am. Loving you is not a choice and not much reason to rejoice, but it gives me purpose, gives me voice to say to the world, this is why I live. You are why I live. Loving you is why I do the things I do. Loving you is not in my control, but loving you, I have a goal for what's left of my life. I would live and I would die for you. And so Fosca sings in Stephen Sondheim's musical Passion. She feels there is no hope in her life, but Giorgio tells her the only happiness we can be certain of is love. In contrast, Beauregard Jackson Pickett Burnside proclaims to Mame in Jerry Herman's musical, loving you is snow and jasmine and the noise of New Year's Eve. Loving you is now and yesterday is real and make-believe. Loving you is Rome and New Orleans and gazing at the lazy summer skies, fireworks reflecting in your eyes. And loving you is tart as lemonade and sweet as April wine. Loving you is watching all the lovely things of life combine. In your arms, I'm all I wish I were. I'm brave, I'm strong, and I'm true. As long as I can go on living, loving you. Both songs share the same title, Loving You, but different in their message. Love, a simple four-letter word, can be discovered in a multitude of people, places, and things. The ancient Greeks identified different types of love: sexual passion, deep friendship, playful love, long-standing love, to be found in friends, family, strangers, spouses, and even oneself. During the month of February, we celebrate love. So how do you describe true love? When children ages 4 through 8 were asked, what is true love? Well, here in their own words. When my grandma got arthritis, she couldn't bend over and paint her toenails anymore. So my grandpa does it for her now, even when his hands got arthritis too. That's love. When someone loves you, the way they say your name is different. You just know that your name is safe in their mouths. Love is when you go out to eat and you give somebody most of your French fries without making them give you any of theirs. Love is what makes you smile when you're tired. Love is when my mommy makes coffee for my daddy and she takes a sip before giving it to him to make sure the taste is okay. Love is what's in the room with you at Christmas if you stop opening presents and just listen. Love is like a little old woman and a little old man who are still friends even after they know each other so well. My mommy loves me more than anybody. You don't see anyone else kissing me to sleep at night. Love is when mommy gives daddy the best piece of chicken. Love is when your puppy licks your face even after you left him alone all day. When you love somebody, your eyelashes go up and down and little stars come out of you. You really shouldn't say I love you unless you mean it. But if you mean it, you should say it a lot. People forget. Kids knew all the time what true love is. Perhaps love is more eloquently described by the bard. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely, more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often his gold complexion dimmed. And every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest. Nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe and eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. Do you remember the childhood taunt that went, Susie and Johnny sitting in a tree, Kissing, first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes, well, let's pause there. And what about the Sinatra recording of the popular Sammy Cahn and Jimmy Van Heusen song, love and marriage, go together in a horse and carriage. This I tell you, brother, you can't have one without the other. Wilfred Arlen Peterson describes the art of marriage. Happiness in marriage is not something that just happens. A good marriage must be created. In the art of marriage, the little things are the big things. It is never being too old to hold hands. It is remembering to say, I love you, at least once a day. It is never going to bed angry. It is at no time taking the other for granted. The courtship shouldn't end with the honeymoon. It should continue through all the years. It is having a mutual sense of values and common objectives. It is standing together, facing the world. It is forming a circle of love that gathers in the whole family. It is doing things for each other, not in the attitude of duty or sacrifice, but in the spirit of joy. It is spreading words of appreciation and demonstrating gratitude in thoughtful ways. It is not expecting the husband to wear a halo or the wife to have the wings of an angel. It is not looking for perfection in each other. It is cultivating flexibility, patience, understanding, and a sense of humor. It is having the capacity to forgive and forget. It is giving each other an atmosphere in which each can grow. It is establishing a relationship in which the independence is equal, the dependence is mutual, and the obligation is reciprocal. It is not marrying the right partner. It is being the right partner. It's the little things you do together that make perfect relationships. The hobbies you pursue together, savings you accrue together, looks you misconstrue together that make marriage a joy. It's the little things you share together, swear together, wear together that make perfect relationships. The concerts you enjoy together, neighbors you annoy together, children you destroy together that keep marriage intact. It's sharing little winks together, drinks together, kinks together that make marriage a joy. The bargains that you shop together, cigarettes you stop together, clothing that you swap together that make perfect relationships. It's the little things, the little ways you try together, cry together, lie together, that make perfect relationships. Becoming a cliche together, growing old and gray together, withering away together, that make marriage a joy. Marry your best friend, someone you can laugh with. The kind of laughs that make your belly ache and your nose snort. The embarrassing, earnest, healing kinds of laughs. Wit is important. Life is too short not to love someone who lets you be a fool with them. Make sure they are somebody who lets you cry too. Find someone that you want to be there with you through those times. Most importantly, marry one that makes passion, love, and madness combine and course through you. A love that will never dilute. Jay Gibson, Kay Konopliska, and Linda Leary each describe the love of their life. I count the times you've said hello and all the times you've smiled, remembering those little things that make our life worthwhile. Up so late and sharing dreams while all the world's asleep, telling all those secret things that you and I will keep. I look into your eyes today and I see yesterday. All the things tomorrow holds, our future hopes and ways. A life which anyone would love because it be with you, a mirror to your loving heart and all the things you do. I hold your hand for warmth and strength and find just what I need. A relationship that's really grown, and love was the seed. You're why I feel the way I do. I thank you for it all. But when it comes to how I feel, these words are very small. I'll give you laughter when you're sad and memories for the good times that we've had. But furthermore, I will give my life to you, for you're the one I love. I'm a hopeless romantic, but my husband, Mike, is probably the most unromantic guy I know. When I was growing up, I pictured myself being married to someone who would take my hand when we went for walks, shower me with affection, and enjoy long, heartfelt conversations about special feelings and philosophies. I think Mike has reached for my hand once since we've been married. He was lying in a hospital bed waiting for surgery and fearing he might die. That doesn't count. Hugs, I get. When he wants a new car, a $300 precision classic graphite OS tennis racket, or a golf trip with his buddies. That's for philosophical talks, forget it. I don't even try. And when it comes for romantic lingo, when I say, I love you, Mike's typical response is, right back at you, kid, or me too, babe. Hardly heartwarming. I think Mike was the inspiration for the story about the woman who said to her husband on their anniversary, honey, we've been married for 40 years, and since our wedding, you've never said I love you. Her husband replied, I said it once, and if anything changes, I'll let you know. But there is chemistry between us and a joyful oneness of spirit. Like when he says something, does goofy things to make me laugh so hard, my sides ache and I can't catch my breath and I have to beg him to stop. Or when something happens that reminds us of the past and we say the same thing at the same time and others haven't got a clue what we're talking about. Or when he looks at me during a concert of beautiful music with tears in his eyes and wipes my wet cheek, knowing our hearts at one at that moment. Mike says I am his best friend. I guess that's more important than a lot of romantic jargon, public displays of affection, and all those other fantasies of mine. And I do know he loves me. After back surgery, the doctor said I shouldn't use the vacuum cleaner for at least a year. Now, 29 years later, Mike still does all of the vacuuming. It might hurt your back, he says. He's never voiced a complaint or even accused me of bribing the doctor. Now, if that's not love, I don't know what is. Looking through my old yearbook, I came across a comment by one of my girlfriends. She wrote, "May you find your Prince Charming, tall, handsome, and rich." We used to talk about our perfect loves at high school slumber parties, in between painting our toes and dancing the twist. In college, I added intelligence, compassion, and sense of humor to the list of attributes that included broad shoulders, narrow waist, thick head of hair, and of course, treating me like I was the most beautiful creature walking the planet. Now, as a member of AARP, I get magazines with updates on who's keeping it together and still glamorous at age 60, most likely with a few nips and tucks. And I find it takes a lot longer to lose those pounds I used to shed by just thinking about them. And whatever happened to the perfect love of my youthful dreams? In the chair next to mine lies the object of my thoughts. Mouth open, he snores to his own private corral, his abundant belly rising and falling in perfect time. Where did I go wrong? I glance at the thinning hair and the lines around the eyes of the man that I've been with for almost 20 years. Where did the narrow waist go, and what happened to that glorious, thick head of hair? And go back to your list. Take another look. There were other attributes just under all those meaty physical ones. I went over them one by one. Sense of humor. Oh, yes. He's always ready to laugh at my jokes, even when he's heard them before, and especially at himself. That's where those cute wrinkles around his blue eyes came from. Compassionate. The man will cry at a sad movie sharing tissues with me. He would give his heart to anyone in pain, especially one of our children. Together, we held our old tabby cat and sobbed when we had to put him down. Intelligence. Yes, he is definitely an intelligent man. He built his own business from nothing and earned the respect of his employees and clients. And he can fix things, saving us a considerable amount on minor home repairs. That man knows 1,000 ways to use a wire coat hanger to create some widget to repair some thingamajig. He treats me like I'm beautiful. He still tells me I look great and is not shy about telling others how beautiful or how funny he thinks I am. He rarely walks by me without touching me, and he always kisses me before going out. As my waistline expands and contracts in true menopausal form, he has never once complained, especially about my mood swings. He listens and he holds me when I need to be held. And hey, his shoulders are still broad enough for me to cry on or rest my head. He tells me he loves me. He cooks. If I buy food and plan the meal, he'll cook it better than I ever could. He actually likes cooking, and he has a family recipe of lasagna that, just thinking about it, makes my mouth salivate. It is a 2-day process. When we had a little competition over who can make the best chicken soup, he won, hands down. He has this knack of combining just the right spices. My list could go on and on with nary a slender waist or a full head of hair in the lot. So what if he is barely an inch taller than me? He loves it when I wear heels that take me to a lofty 5'10". He wakes with a particularly loud snort to find me staring at him. I must have this stupid look on my face because he says, "Okay, what's going on? What did I do? Is it something embarrassing?" You know, I was just thinking. He gives me a wary look. That means, uh-oh, she's been thinking again. This can't be good. How about I take you out to dinner, my treat? Okay, but what's it going to cost me? No, let's just call it an appreciation dinner. Long overdue. At that, he grins hugely and says he'll take a quick shower and change. As he gets up, he brushes by me, patting my backside in that sweet, absent-minded way he always does. I grab his arm. Don't ever stop doing that. Stop doing what? You know, the way you always grab oh, you know. He looks more closely at me, smiling from ear to ear. Why, I do believe you're blushing. Woman, you still surprise me. And as far as that other thing, you know, you can count on it. Yep, things are just as they should be. Now, where did I put that cologne he likes? Madame Armfeldt in Sondheim's Little Night Music is described as a veteran of discreet and lucrative horizontal encounters with the crowned heads of Europe. She recounts her liaisons in that type of love that the ancient Greeks might categorize as sexual passion. At the villa of the Baron de Signac, where I spent a somewhat infamous year, I had ladies in attendance, fire opal pendant, liaisons. What's happened to them? Liaisons today, disgraceful. What's become of them? Some of them hardly pay their shoddy way. What once was a rare champagne is now just an amiable little hock. What once was a villa, at least is digs. What once was a gown with train is now just a simple little frock. What once was a sumptuous feast is figs. No, not even figs, raisins. Oh, liaisons. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. At the palace of the Duke of Ferrara, who was prematurely deaf, but a dear. I acquired some position plus a tiny Titian. Liaisons, what's happened to them? Liaisons today, to see them, indiscriminate women, it pains me more than I can say, the lack of taste that they display. Where is style? Where is skill? Where is forethought? Where's discretion of the heart? Where's passion in the art? Where's craft? With a smile and a will, but with more thought, I acquired a chateau extravagantly overstaffed. Too many people muddle sex with mere desire, and when emotion intervenes, the nets descend. It should on no account perplex or worse inspire. It's but a pleasurable means to a measurable end. Why does no one comprehend? Let us hope this lunacy is just a trend. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. In the castle of the king of the Belgians, we would visit through a false chiffonnier. In the castle of the king of the Belgians, who, when things got rather touchy deeded me a duchy. Liaisons, what's happened to them? Liaisons today, untidy. Take my daughter. I taught her. I tried my best to point the way. I even named her Desiree. In a world where the kings are employers, where the amateur prevails, and delicacy fails to pay, in a world where the princes are lawyers, what can anyone expect except to recollect liaisons? With experience in the passage of time, there are remembrances of past loves, love denied, love lost, and thankfully love found. Arnold Find recalls, "It was a freezing day a few years ago and I stumbled on a wallet in the street. There was no identification inside, just $3 and a crumpled letter that looked as if it had been carried around for years. The only thing legible on the torn envelope was the return address. I opened the letter and saw that it had been written in 1924, almost 60 years ago. I read it carefully, hoping to find some clue to the identity of the wallet's owner. It was a Dear John letter. The writer, in a delicate script, told the recipient, whose name was Michael, that her mother forbade her to see him again. Nevertheless, she would always love him. It was signed, Hannah. It was a beautiful letter, but there was no way beyond the name Michael to identify the owner. So I called information to see if the operator could help. Operator, this is an unusual request. I'm trying to find the owner of a wallet I found. Is there any way you could tell me the phone number for an address that was on the letter in the wallet? The operator gave me her supervisor, who said there was a phone listed at the address, but she could not give me the number. However, she would call and explain the situation. Then if the party wanted to talk, she would connect me. I waited a minute and she came back on the line. I have a woman who will speak with you. I asked the woman if she knew a Hannah. Oh, of course. We bought this house from Hannah's family. Would you know where they could be located now? Hannah had to place her mother in a nursing home years ago. Maybe the home could help you track down the daughter. The woman gave me the name of the nursing home. I called and found out that Hannah's mother had died. The woman I spoke with gave me an address where she thought Hannah could be reached. I phoned. The woman who answered explained that Hannah herself was now living in a nursing home. She gave me the number. I called and was told, yes, Hannah is with us. I asked if I could stop by to see her. It was almost 10 p.m. The director said that Hannah might be asleep, but if you want to take a chance, maybe she's in the day room watching TV. The director and a guard met me at the door of the nursing home. We went up to the third floor and saw the nurse, who told us that Hannah was indeed watching TV. We entered the day room. Hannah was a sweet, silver-haired old-timer with a warm smile and friendly eyes. I told her about the wallet and showed her the letter. The second she saw it, she took a deep breath. Young man, this letter was the last contact I had with Michael. I loved him very much, but I was only 16 and my mother felt I was too young. He was so handsome, like Sean Connery, the actor, you know? We both laughed. The director then left us alone. Yes, Michael Goldstein was his name. If you find him, Tell him I still think of him. I never did marry. I guess no one ever matched up to Michael. I thanked Hannah and said goodbye and took the elevator to the first floor. As I stood at the door, the guard asked, "Was she able to help you?" I told him she had given me a lead. At least I have a last name, but I probably won't pursue it further for a while. I explained that I had spent almost the entire day trying to find the wallet's owner. While we talked, I took out the brown leather case with its red lanyard lacing and showed it to the guard. He looked at it and said, "Hey, I'd know that anywhere. That's Mr. Goldstein's. He's always losing it." "Who's Mr. Goldstein?" "He's one of the old timers on the 8th floor. That's Mike Goldstein's wallet for sure. He goes out for a walk quite often." I thanked the guard and ran back to the director's office to tell him what the guard had said. He accompanied me to the 8th floor. I prayed that Mr. Goldstein would be up. "I think he's still in the day room," the nurse said. "He likes to read at night." We went to the only room that had lights on, and there was a man reading a book. The director asked him if he had lost his wallet. Michael Goldstein looked up, felt his back pocket. "Goodness, it is missing." The second he saw it, he smiled with relief. "Yes, that's it. Must have dropped it this afternoon. I want to give you a reward." No, thank you. "But I have to tell you something. I read the letter in the hope of finding out who owned the wallet." The smile on his face disappeared. "You read the letter?" "Not only did I read it, but I think I know where Hannah is." "Hannah? You know where she is? How is she? Is she still as pretty as she was? Please, tell me." "She's fine, and just as pretty as when you knew her." "Could you tell me where she is? I want to call her tomorrow." "You know something? When that letter came, my life ended. I never married. I guess I've always loved her. Come with me." The three of us took the elevator to the 3rd floor. We walked toward the day room where Hannah was still sitting and watching TV. The director went over to her. "Hannah, do you know this man?" Michael and I stood at the doorway. She adjusted her glasses, looked for a moment, but didn't say a word. "Hannah, it's Michael Goldstein. Do you remember?" "Michael? Michael, it's you." He walked slowly to her side. She stood and they embraced. The two of them sat on a couch, held hands, and started to talk. The director and I walked out, both of us crying. See how the good Lord works? If it's meant to be, it will be. 3 weeks later, I got a call from the director who asked, "Can you break away on a Sunday to attend a wedding?" He didn't wait for an answer. Yep, Michael and Hannah are going to tie the knot. It was a lovely wedding with all the people at the nursing home joining in the celebration. Hannah wore a beige dress and looked beautiful. Michael wore a blue suit and stood tall. The home gave them their own room, and if you ever wanted to see a 76-year-old bride and a 78-year-old groom acting like two teenagers, you had to see this couple. A perfect ending for a love affair that lasted nearly 60 years. With a nod to ancient Greek wisdom, Love can certainly be found among family members. Susan Cheever shares, Me Bear, a love story. When my daughter was born 18 years ago, my brother Fred and his wife sent her a stuffed brown bear with a white nose and tummy and a tag that told us its name was Snuffles. Snuffles joined the piles of plush bears, cats, dogs, frogs, and clowns in her room. She was my first child and my parents' first granddaughter. Two facts that seemed to provoke stuffed animal buying orgies on the part of otherwise sensible people. But slowly, as she grew and learned to cuddle and express preferences, she gravitated towards Snuffles. As soon as she could gesture, she let us know that Snuffles needed to be in her crib at night. She began regularly falling asleep with her tiny hands nesting in the bear's soft fur. Like all first-time mothers, I had read all the baby books, and I knew that the bear was my daughter's transitional object. I was proud of everything she did, and settling on such an appealing transitional object seemed further evidence of her exceptional intelligence. Of course, she didn't call the bear Snuffles. She was 10 months old and innocent of the silly names provided by manufacturers. She didn't even realize it was a bear. She thought it was a cat and she called it Meow, which she shortened to Me. Me, the bear, became her most beloved thing, the center of her secure world. Where's my Me? She would ask in her sweet little voice. Where's Me? What the baby books forgot to mention was the devastating effect of too much love. By the time my daughter was 2, Me was worn and tattered from being caressed, his once gleaming fur fondled to a dull, tufted fabric, his button eyes missing and his smile kissed away. After a citywide hunt, I located another new Snuffles and brought him home triumphantly. My daughter was less than pleased. She added the new bear to her menagerie and continued to sleep with the old, worn-out one, amending his name to Real Me to distinguish him from the imposter. By the time my daughter turned 3, Real Me was a sorry sight. As he became more tattered, he seemed to become more necessary, especially after my daughter gave up the bottle that had lulled her to sleep. She couldn't even think about bedtime until Real Me was ensconced on her pillow. When we traveled, Real Me was the first thing I packed. As he crumbled, my anxieties soared. What if he was lost? What if he just came apart at the seams one day after a particularly energetic hug? I was convinced that if that happened, my daughter would never sleep again. When I slept, I sometimes had nightmares about Real Me. In my dreams, he disappeared or disintegrated as I watched helplessly. One day when I was shopping downtown, the escalator took me past the toy department. There, displayed as if he was meant for me to see, was another new Snuffles. This time, I had him wrapped in plain brown paper. That night, while my little girl slept, I massacred this new Snuffles with scissors, reducing him to parts. I crept into her bedroom and stealthily took Real Me from her pillow. With an ear cocked toward the room where she innocently dreamed, I hastily sewed on a new plush leg. I had a restless night. Had I tampered with the thing my daughter cared about the most and ruined it forever? Had I failed to respect her feelings for the one object in the household that belonged to her and her alone? Would she notice and be horrified? The next morning, I held my breath. She didn't comment. That night at bedtime, I watched terrified as she stroked the new leg in her sleepy ritual. Soft, she said. After that, every few weeks, I replaced a tiny part of real me with a part from the new Snuffles. I have continued to replace parts of real me with dozens of parts from new Snuffles over the years. After a few years, my daughter realized what was happening. But by then, my replacement rituals had become as much a part of real me as the bear himself, and she accepted the fact that he was a patchwork of old and new. Real me sits on my computer as I write this, one-eyed and tattered, his tail all but worn off. It's been a few years since I've replaced a part. As he has fondled less, he wears better. These days, real me sleeps at the end of the bed in a pile of quilts. She doesn't notice him much, and when she leaves, she doesn't take him with her. Her security comes from other things now. I still keep him, though. He's a memento of that time long ago when my teenager was a baby, and a proof that although too much love can destroy, it can also repair and mend. This next selection, a New York Times bestseller and a Barnes & Noble Book of the Year, was given to me as a gift from a dear friend. And now I'd like to share it with you. The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy tells the story of 4 characters setting out to explore life's mysteries. It offers a timely message of hope, curiosity, and care for one another. The British adventurer Bear Grylls writes, "Love, friendship, and kindness. This book speaks a universal language." The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. "Hello." "I'm so small," said the Mole. "Yes," said the Boy, "but you make a huge difference." "What do you want to be when you grow up?" "Kind," said the Boy. "What do you think success is?" "To love," said the Mole. "Do you have a favorite saying?" "Yes." "What is it?" "If at first you don't succeed, have some cake." "I see. Does it work?" "Every time. Just a tiny taste. I got you a delicious cake." "Did you?" "Yes." "Where is it?" "I ate it." "Oh." "But I got you another one." "Did you? Where is that one?" "The same thing seems to have happened." "What do you think is the biggest waste of time?" "Comparing yourself to others," said the Mole. "I wonder if there is a school of unlearning." "Most of the old moles I know wish they had listened less to their fears and more to their dreams." "What is that over there?" "It's the wild. Do not fear it. Imagine how we would be if we were less afraid." "I'm not afraid." "If I wasn't caught in this snare, I'd kill you," said the Fox. "If you stay in that snare, you will die." So the Mole chewed through the wire with his tiny teeth. "One of our greatest freedoms is how we react to things. I've learned how to be in the present." "How?" asked the Boy. "I find a quiet spot. I shut my eyes and breathe." "And then what?" "Then I focus." "What do you focus on?" "Cake." Isn't it odd? We can only see our outsides, but nearly everything happens on the inside. So much beauty we need to look after.
Being kind to yourself is one of our greatest kindnesses, said the mole. We often wait for kindness to start, but being kind to yourself can start now.
Often the hardest person to forgive is yourself. Sometimes I feel lost.
Me too,
said the mole.
but we love you, and love brings you home. I think everyone is just trying to get home. Hello.
Hello. Doing nothing with friends is never doing nothing, is it? Asked the boy.
No,
said the mole. You fell, but I've got you. Everyone is a bit scared, said the horse, but we are less scared together. Tears fall for a reason, and they are your strength, not weakness. What is the bravest thing you've ever said? Asked the boy. Help, said the horse. When have you been at your strongest? Asked the boy. When I have dared to show my weakness. Asking for help isn't giving up, said the horse. It's refusing to give up. Sometimes I worry you'll all realize I'm ordinary, said the boy.
love doesn't need you to be extraordinary,
said the mole. We all need a reason to keep going, said the horse. What's yours? You three, said the fox. Getting home, said the boy.
Cake,
said the mole.
I've discovered something better than cake.
No, you haven't.
I have.
What is it?
A hug. It lasts longer.
Nothing beats kindness, said the horse. It sits quietly beyond all things. Sometimes what? Asked the boy. Sometimes just getting up and carrying on is brave and magnificent. How do they look so together and perfect? Asked the boy, looking at two swans. There's a lot of frantic paddling going on beneath, said the horse.
The greatest illusion,
said the mole,
is that life should be perfect.
Life is difficult, but you are loved. So you know all about me? Asked the boy. Yes. And you still love me? We love you all the more. Sometimes I think you believe in me more than I do. You'll catch up.
The fox never really speaks,
whispered the boy. No, and it's lovely he is with us.
To be honest, I often feel I have nothing interesting to say,
said the fox. Being honest is always interesting, said the horse. There is something I haven't told you. What's that? I can fly, but I stopped because it made the other horses jealous. Well, we love you whether you can fly or not. Okay.
Is your glass half empty or half full?
I think I am grateful to have a glass, said the boy. We don't know about tomorrow, said the horse. All we need to know is that we love each other. When the dark clouds come, keep going. When the big things feel out of focus and out of control, focus on what you love right under your nose. This storm will pass. I have such a long way to go, sighed the boy. Yes, but look how far you've come.
Sometimes I want to say I love you all, said the mole, but I find it difficult.
Do you?
Yes. So I say something like, I'm glad we're all here.
Okay.
I'm glad we're all here.
We are so glad you're here too,
What's your best discovery?
asked the mole. That I'm enough as I am. I've realized why we are here.
The cake?
To love and be loved, said the horse. What do we do when our hearts hurt? We wrap them with friendship, shared tears and time, till they wake hopeful and happy again. Do you have any other advice? Asked the boy. Don't measure how valuable you are by the way you are treated. Always remember you matter, you're important, and you are loved. And you bring to this world things no one else can. Home isn't always a place, is it? Thank you. Look how far we've come. Sometimes all you hear about is the hate, but there is more love in this world than you could possibly imagine. I began with how children describe true love, and to close a well-known verse. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It's not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. The month of February is a time when we tell those we love how much they mean to us. Let's do that more often throughout the entire year. May you give and find more love than you expected.